I'd love to introduce Karla Williams, who is joining us for a fireside conversation. Karla is an award-winning writer, executive producer, working in TV, short film, and scripted audio. She has, you can read actually her bio in the platform. It's all there. There's loads that we're going to cover. We're going to find out about her journey into this industry. It's really good to see you, Karla. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Karla,
Oh,
where
no,
in the world are you right now?
So I'm in Reading, UK.
yeah, no, it's great. I'm really pleased we could have this time together. We had a chat last year at Stronger, and I thought let's get Karla back because and she kindly agreed to it. But just to find out about this journey into the industry, it's not without challenge. And so I thought maybe it'd be really helpful to find out what are some of your learnings. What can you share? What wisdom can you share with others that may be making a similar transition and on that journey, whether it's the same industry or something else? I think there'll be lots of principles that we can learn and dive into. But love to just lighthearted. First of all, had Christmas, film watching, and reading books. Anything that's particularly stood out to you the last few weeks, last month or so with Christmas?
Yes, so I watched Day of the Jackal, which was on, I think, Sky Atlantic with Eddie Redmayne and Lashana Lynch, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Have you seen that? Actually, I haven't seen that yet.
I have not. I over Christmas and New Year, I watched The 6888 on Netflix.
Oh, yes, I've seen that too. Yeah.
So good, Karla. Loved it. Loved the fact that it's a true story and it was really moving.
Yeah, I really loved the story and the fact that we're hearing more stories like this. Truth be told, I thought the delivery was a bit interesting in places. I thought Kerry Washington was fantastic, as she often is in the majority of things that she's in.
Yeah.
But overall, for this sort of story to be on Netflix, I really enjoyed it as from a story point of view.
Yeah. It was actually quite an interesting cast because you had like Susan Sarandon playing Eleanor Roosevelt. Oprah Winfrey pops up for like one scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was really, yeah, nice cast in that respect.
Yeah, definitely agree.
And a good one to stream, a good one to tune and into on Netflix, actually. Yeah. Karla, when you first started out on your journey, as Matt said, obviously people can check out your bio, all the accolades and all your creative gifts and skills and talents. Did you always know you wanted to go into the creative industry and the creative arts and particularly writing?
No. So it'd always been a passion. So I've been writing. So I'm 42 now, and I've been writing since I was 19. And I wrote my first sort of short story poem thing when I was like 10 years old. So to me, it was always a hobby. It wasn't something that I thought someone like me could actually make a career from. So it was something I did along the side of other full-time jobs. I sort of started off in theatre, got to know a few people in the sort of small theatre communities, but it was always in my mind a side hustle. It was never something that I could actually do full-time. And then that changed in 2015.
And how have you made it become not a side hustle? Because it's an incredibly challenging industry to earn a full-time living from.
So it's incredibly challenging. I'm still, to be perfectly transparent, not earning a full-time living from it. So I still also work part-time to supplement my writing. But breaking into the industry took a lot longer than I expected it would take, because there was a lot that I didn't know. And also I think there was a lot of my own barriers, my own sort of self-doubt that I had to overcome. So it was very much one step at a time. Building a network became exceptionally helpful and something that I didn't realize you really needed to be intentional and active with. And then just developing the craft, getting better at writing, coming up with new ideas. It's, to be fair, it's like a 10-year journey. So I decided to pursue screenwriting as a career, or writing as a career. I felt called to do this in 2015. So I got made redundant from sort of the last full-time job that I had at the National Theatre. And I really felt quite strongly that God was saying, like, now's the time to pursue writing. But it wasn't until 2020 when I actually signed with an agent, and the agent that I currently have at the moment. So those 5 years was a lot of stumbling around in the dark, to be fair, trying to figure stuff out, following leads that weren't really that helpful. trying to get to know people, being in one space, but then realizing this space is maybe not the space I should be in. So it was a lot of trial and error for those sort of first 5 years, getting to know people, learning from the mistakes, until in 2020 I signed with the agent that I now have.
Brilliant. Thanks, Karla.
Karla, you talked about 2015. There's you heard something of God speak to you and direct you. Could we zoom into that moment? Was it a moment, or was it over a process? And how did that work? What was going on?
So it was a feeling. So I had a job at the National. I worked in the sound department. I was their administrator, and then I think in November I was given 2 months' notice that my role would be made redundant. So I would be leaving in January 2015. And truth be told, when they told me that news, I wasn't particularly disappointed, because I hadn't loved the job, and I hadn't really been enjoying the job for over a year, to be fair. And I've been doing a lot of writing on the side and like producing short films and things on the side while in that job. And then I just felt, when they told me that, I just felt now is the time to pursue writing. That was kind of the feeling, and it didn't go away. Like, I couldn't shake it. It was always there. And so I was like, okay, let's do that then. Let's pursue writing. That was what I felt. It was a feeling that started when I got told I was being made redundant, and then just didn't go anywhere.
I love what you're saying. Yeah, I love listening to you, Karla, and how you're talking about the pivot as well. Like, you just seem to be prepared and ready for anything.
It doesn't feel that way when you're in it, just FYI. It doesn't feel that way at all.
Thank goodness. I thought, oh, she's got it all together.
Yeah, no. Strong, hard no. I do not have it all together. I'm figuring it out step by step, which I'm realizing a lot of people are. And also, I think when it comes to calling, there's this idea that it's like this bright bulb moment, and then all of a sudden everything makes sense and you follow a journey. That's not the case. That's not been my experience at all. So there was that sort of pursue writing, because writing had always been a side thing, so it was like great, but then it was literally 3 years of stumbling around in the dark, not really making an impact on building a career in film and TV. So it was talking to the wrong people. I spent like a year of that hanging out in theatre, trying to get a particular play made that ended up going absolutely nowhere. All the while living at my dad's house, because I wasn't making a great deal of money, so I couldn't really afford to go out on my own. And it wasn't until 2018 when I think I met now fellow writer friend at an event, and she introduced me to someone who worked at Sky, that I actually started building connections with people that worked in film and TV. And then I ended up interviewing to be the assistant of a lady called Hilary Bevan-Jones, who's just amazing. And I didn't get that job, but she was like, I really like you, stay in contact. And she sort of became a mentor of mine. But that didn't happen again till like 2018. Then I got in contact with someone who worked at ITV. We had a meeting. They sort of was like, keep in contact. I can introduce you to people. So it was definitely the first 3 years, not much at all happening, because I just didn't really know where I should be and what I should be doing. And then it was like one introduction would lead to one other thing, and then some person introduced me here would lead to another thing, and I've just been following the path as it's unfolding before me. So now I can look back and be like, oh yeah, this made sense, and that made sense, and oh yeah, this led to that. But at the time, I had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing.
I mean, God clearly tested your resolve when you were made redundant. I wonder if you can share a little bit more about that, being tested in this industry. How specifically did you push through those challenges of redundancy, or also even sometimes, like, when the writing runs out, when the writer's block comes?
So I would say it happens in those early days. It was very much trusting what I believed God had told me, because the reality of my situation was it wasn't reflecting at all what I felt God was calling me to do. So in 2016, I used to go to HTB until I moved to Reading, and I was in a particular service, and they were talking about lights. God's calling people to be lights in like non-traditional places. And I felt very strongly that that was me. So when they asked for sort of prayer at the end, I went up to the front, and this lady gave me this word, which was very specific and very powerful. And I knew was from God, because I hadn't told her enough about my life for her to be able to tell me that. Like, she just didn't know. And I'd never met her before in my entire life. So there were times when it was waking up pajamas all day, watching Netflix. That felt miles away from the vision that was given. And so in those moments, I just had to hold on to the vision. So I had to be like, all right, it doesn't feel like it today. There's literally nothing's happening. The emails are not popping off. Nobody's calling me. I don't even have an agent. But I held on to that belief. And then small things would happen, like I would listen to a podcast, which was about trusting God in the difficult times. And that would give me enough faith to kind of keep going for a month or so. Then something else would happen, which would reinforce the trust in God in difficult times, and God's doing things in difficult times. So it was lots of small nuggets of hope that were given to me that I would say helped me sustain the longer journey. It was never, oh yeah, 3 years, I can handle that, no problem. It was like a message would get me through like a couple of months. And I'd start feeling a bit like, well, nothing's happening. This is quite frustrating. Like, what am I doing wrong? This, that, and the other. And then there'd be another nugget of wisdom, inspiration, knowledge that would help sort of get me onto the next stage. So it's very much one step at a time. To be fair, it's only really starting to make sense to me now. Like in the last 3 or 4 months, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get what was going on. But that has happened in like the last 3 or 4 months when I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I get it. Now it's beginning to make sense. Yeah.
It's been a bit of a theme, Karla. A number of themes and threads through this week, but waiting. Lots of people watching this will be in a waiting period, and as you described, there's something like God sometimes only gives us a certain amount of visibility, and sometimes we see further ahead, and the times that you're describing you couldn't really see beyond a few weeks or a month, but the daily the Lord's Prayer, give us today our daily bread. There's something of that, like a daily dependence. Sometimes God just draws us near to him to attune our ears and grow our trust in him. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary to grow us in the process. And it sounds like there's some of that going on. Any other thoughts or insights that you could share in the time of waiting for anyone else that might be in that time now?
So I would say, if you feel you're in a time of waiting, and particularly waiting on God, like he's the one that actually knows what's going on, and it's totally fine that you don't. Because it's this period, the period for me wasn't about how Karla Williams can figure this out. This was about how or not I could choose whether I was going to trust and believe that God is doing something or not. And when it was kind of broken down to me that way, I chose to believe that I'm gonna trust God, and I'm gonna keep on believing in him and what he's doing. And I think it's okay if you don't get it and it's not making sense and uncomfortable and painful. Like, I don't think you should hide away from those feelings and those emotions, because they're true. And I'm not really about pretending you're not feeling stuff when you actually are. But be encouraged that God actually does know what he's doing, even if you don't. And generally, that's kind of the way you should have it. Like, he should really be the one that knows what he's doing as opposed to you. Like, because there's so much that I thought I could do and figure out, but it's been superseded by who God is and what God can do. Like, I have my limitations and my vision is limited. So fundamentally, I don't really want my vision for my life. I want God's vision for my life, because it's going to be far greater and far challenging than I would have picked for myself. So I would say, in the waiting, find ways to sustain your faith, whatever that looks like. Because if God's called you to a place and now it feels like you're just waiting for him, you're not. He's doing something. Like, he's still at work. He still sees you. He still has a plan. You just don't know what it is yet. That's what's going on.
I love it. I'd love to chat about your creative process, Karla, because there'll be people watching who have got that creative dream, goal, and vision about something they want to create. Could you describe your creative process and how you approach new projects, whether that's writing or in production?
So it varies from project to project. So if it's a writing idea, so sometimes I have a really clear idea of the story that I want to tell. So let me start by saying I start with a character first. So the majority of the projects I've created, I connect with the lead character first. That's kind of what happens. And sometimes I'll have quite a clear idea of the journey I want to take that character on. And sometimes I don't. So it depends on the project. So I have a TV idea called Fall from Grace. And I knew, because it was kind of inspired by things that were happening in real life. So I knew quite strongly this was a lead, this is his journey. So that kind of, I won't say came to me, but I was inspired with that. Whereas more recently, I'm working on another TV idea called Reality Check. And it took me quite a while to figure out, one, who the lead protagonist was and the journey that I want to take him on. So with that, it's kind of more do a draft, see what's working, share it with people that you trust, take their notes, do some more thinking, kind of come back to it. And I guess with the writer's block thing, if I feel like I'm sort of struggling with figuring stuff out, I listen to that podcast as number one, or I just kind of go out and try to be inspired by life. So I'm not really one of these writers that sort of sit and struggle at a laptop, because I find it doesn't help the process. So I tend to go out, watch someone else's work, watch something in the genre that I'm creating something in, listen to the podcast, have a nap, just do other things to allow inspiration to strike in other places. And from a production point of view, it's one of two things. Either one, it's something that has come across, I say my desk, but I've been sort of made aware of. So our most recent project was originally a TV idea. I went to a reading of it. I thought it could work really well as an audio idea. So then we decided to kind of explore that. Or it's something that, again, I'm sort of interested in and want to explore. So kind of, yeah, one of two ways, and those normally happen.
Brilliant.
Could we, Karla, could we just throw up on the screen some of your projects that you've worked on, your films? Let's
Oh, sure.
got that now. Here we go. Tell us, I mean, there's such a variety here, and I don't know. Can you tell us any ones that you, as you look back, you're particularly proud of, or in the right sense, proud of, as you look back?
Oh, interesting. So I would say the TV development Fall from Grace with Tall Story Pictures. So that was my first time working on a TV script, and at the time it was very challenging for me because I'd never written on that level before. But this resulting script after the sort of development contract, I'm really, really proud of. And it's the script that I'm using as kind of a calling card today. So I would say of all of them, I'm most proud of that one because I found it the most challenging, I would say. So yeah, I would say Fall from Grace.
Amazing.
And of these, was there a similar thing with as you described, you start with the protagonist, the kind of the main character? Is that the process that you have for these? So
for 3 of them, yes. So Grantchester is like a show that's been running for I think 8, 9, maybe 10 years now. So all the characters were super established already. So I sort of came in and co-wrote an episode of series 8, episode 5. I co-wrote episode 5. So I helped come up with the crime story, but the kind of established characters, they'd been going for like decades. So that's Geordie and what's his name? Geordie and Will in the picture. Those are the 2 leads. So that was more me bringing what I can do to sort of an established show. So my short film, Pretty Bitch, that definitely started off with a lead protagonist. So that film kind of explores how one girl seeks revenge against another girl after she stole her man, in quotation marks. But it's sort of exploring themes of like toxic masculinity and vulnerable women. So that definitely started with the lead protagonist. The Fall from Grace idea, again, because that was inspired by things that were happening in real life. So I had a central lead protagonist with that one. So the TV writer's room, Spires, again, that was somebody else's project that I went onto. So they had some characters there and I kind of helped develop them. And with the Wondery one, it was writing scenes about Picasso. So again, he's a real life man that it was more taking my skill of creating the scenes than coming up with stuff. And then Famous, again, yeah, it started off with the lead protagonist. So Famous is about a famous white actress, and a historical racist tweet comes to light. And it's about how she engineers the situation to maintain and hold on to her fame and power. So that's kind of what that's about.
Wow.
Karla, all these amazing projects, how do you make sure that you stay on top of your creative game, but also look after your own physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health as well?
Still my creative game. That's a great question. Pushing myself and challenging myself and trying not to replicate what I've done before. So I wrote Pretty Bitch back in 2012, and I haven't done a short film since. I'm only now working on a new short film because I feel I've got something interesting to say in the short film space, and I wanted to create a film or a short film that was better than Pretty Bitch. So I always try to challenge myself not to replicate the same thing. So again, with Grantchester, I co-wrote that episode. My next goal is to write my own episode of a TV show, whether it be mine or likely someone else's. And staying on top of, I guess, my own physical health is taking time away from work, which can be quite challenging as a writer because your work lives in your head all the time. So the characters I create and the worlds that I build, I'm never really separated from them because they're up here. And sometimes it is a struggle. I do struggle to turn my brain off, which I've been told is a common challenge for writers. But taking time away from work, spending time with loved ones and family, I think really helps, who don't care whether I'm a writer or not. Like, they love me for me. And I'm just Auntie Karla or a fiance or a sister. Like, they don't care. They're happy that I'm successful and I'm finally beginning to make some money from the work that I've been or the dream that I've been chasing for so long, but they don't really care whether or not my, I don't know, one pager is done. Like, they just love me for me. So spending time with family and just having people around you, whether that's directly in your church or in your sort of community network, who are Christian like you, get your vision, get what God's doing, and having them to be able to share and talk to about the journey. And obviously regular communication with God. Like, I chat to God every day about a variety of things, but just always, keep on talking to him because fundamentally he's the one that knows what's going
on. Karla, just you mentioned about the goal. Your next goal is one of your goals is to write your own TV series. What goals will be a familiar thing for many people, even though they're not in this industry. So I just wonder, what does that look like for you? You've got a goal. How do you keep going ahead and breaking that goal down so that you're moving forward?
So I think it depends on the goal. So for me, trying to get on so as a writer in TV, you're kind of either developing your own original ideas or you are working on somebody else's show, like I did with Grantchester. So I think what I've had to do, and I sort of realized this mid last year, was have something called a sample script. So all writers have scripts to be able to demonstrate what they can do and how. So Fall from Grace became my sample script, and it helped me book the Grantchester job. It also helped me book the Audible commission. So I realized I had to come up with a new sample script to try and get me on other people's shows, because Fall from Grace demonstrates that I can do X, Y, Z, but I needed another script to demonstrate I can do ABC. So in July, I started working on and developing a new idea, which now is in a sort of good place with a sample script. And my agent then can use that to share with other people to be like, oh, you've got this show, Karla can do this, she'll be really great on your show. So that was one thing I could do. From a sort of Ms. Mono point of view, so I realized I really want us to make 3 more short films this year. So one of them is my own short film. So I'm working on that now, and that's sort of in the early stages of production. And the other 2 I needed to find, but I personally do not have capacity to be out finding 2 other projects. So I'm in the process now of recruiting a new member of staff to join the Ms. Mono team. And then their job will be assigned to find 2 new projects for Ms. Mono, and then work with those writers to kind of develop the draft of the script into a really strong stage. So I think for me, it's figuring out what the goal is, understanding where you are and the distance between where you are and the goal, and then talking to people, seeking advice, researching the best steps to get you to that goal is what I would say. That's how I approach achieving the goals that I've set.
Karla, I can't let you go today without asking the infamous AI question. Tell me, how does AI affect your work currently, if at all? And even more broadly, what's the picture of AI in the industry at the moment?
So I'm probably not the best person to ask that question. So I don't really engage with AI. So I guess I find film and TV can be so up and down, and it can be so, lots of people have lots of theories about things. So I tend to really focus on the things that I have control over. So the AI conversation, so me personally as a writer, I don't really engage with AI much at all. I appreciate it's useful. I appreciate it can do some great things. And I know there are conversations happening in the industry about AI, but currently they're not conversations that I'm particularly engaging in. So I have chosen to focus more on finding new writers, working on new projects, developing my own ideas, trying to network more, trying to meet more people. That's kind of been my focus. So yeah, and maybe also because I don't know how interested I am in the whole AI conversations, especially when they're still very early stages. Like, I guess I'd be more, so there is obviously a conversation happening with, I think it's the Writers Guild and a lot of the big streamers about the input AI may have in developing scripts, which obviously as writers, we do not want to happen. So I know that was happening, and that was partly part of the reason why there was the strikes a couple of years ago. But that's kind of the extent of my engagement with it. It's all quite high level over there, following a little bit here and there. It's not something I engage in on a day-to-day.
Karla, we're coming to the land really in our conversation, but love to ask, as we sort of sum up, 3 pieces of advice you'd give to someone who's looking to break into a particular industry. Maybe there's things that you've taken away from your journey that you think, that might be applicable in other places.
So I would say 3 pieces of advice. I think for creative industries, build a network. Like, you have no idea how important it is to build a network. But build a network in a way that works for you. So a lot of people are nervous about networking because it can feel quite transactional and fake, but you can build a network and get to know people and build relationships in a really authentic way if that's what you want to do. Develop your craft as a creative, whatever that is, writer, actor, director, editor. Build your craft and keep on working on that. Don't get lazy. Keep on learning, keep on developing. And I think from the Christian point of view would be trust that God knows what he's doing, even if you don't. And keep on trusting and leaning and putting your faith in God beyond what you can see and understand is what I would say. I'd say those 3 pieces of advice.
Amazing, Karla. What exciting things have you got like in the pipeline, like just imminently? What's on the horizon for 2025 for you?
So the short film that I mentioned, we're hoping to shoot that. So fund that and shoot that by the end of this year, if not early next year. I've got 2 TV ideas that I'm currently working and developing on, which I'm hoping my agent will be able to get out into the creative film and TV world soon. I've got some audio ideas that I'm developing. And also with Ms. Mono, we have an event called Ms. Mono Meets that happens annually. And last year we had a sort of collaboration between us and Universal Music. So I'm also working on another collaboration for this year as well. So yes, lots of great things happening. And I'm also getting married this year as well. Which
wow.
Is, yeah, in September. I'm also getting married in September. Thank you.
Just a few things happening this year. It's so good, Karla. Thank you for giving us some time today and sharing insights and into your journey. It's wonderful to hear, and such courage, tenacity, perseverance, and faith. Thank you for all you shared. If people want to follow up with you, what's the best way to connect with you?
So if you want to follow and focus on Ms. Mono, then go to our website, which is Ms. Mono, MSMONO.com. Or me personally is Karla with a K Williams.co.uk. You can find everything you need on both those websites.
Thank you so much, Karla. Amazing to speak to you today.
It's no problem. I've had a great time.
Thanks a lot, Karla. Have a good day. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.